head that you didn't want to raise your hand and ask. So most of you, it can be intimidating. You might not want to look stupid, or you might not want to hold in class. That definitely happens to me, and this is especially common in large lecture halls. We want to stop that. We want students to ask questions, and we want those questions to get answered. So we came up with a way to facilitate question asking in a non-intimidating, efficient way.
So we like to think of our solution as the Yik Yak for the classroom. So for those of you who are not familiar with Yik Yak, it is an app that allows its users to make anonymous text posts about whatever they want. These text posts would appear in a live feed, as you see here. And only people in a 1.5-mile radius of the original poster will be able to see these posts. Meaning that if I were to post right now at Northwestern, only other students on campus can see what I post. This makes every post really relatable and fun to read. The other great thing about Yik Yak is that it features an upvote and downvote system. And this is a self-moderating system because posts with more upvotes will be placed at the top with more priority, while those with negative votes will be deleted altogether. Finally, the greatest thing about Yik Yak is this live feed feature. This live feed will constantly update itself with new posts every second. And this is the primary reason why Yik Yak is such a great source of quick and fun entertainment. So we would like to take all the great aspects of Yik Yak, its efficiency, its simplicity, and its sense of immediacy, and put it into an educational app to help facilitate the question-asking environment of a large lecture hall setting. So we propose BARQ.
Once I log into BARQ with my student ID, I can view a list of classes I'm currently enrolled in. I can see how many new questions there are. And if I tap on the class, I can view these questions. I can also view these questions by going to the questions tab right here. This leads me to the class I'm in right now. And if I'm not in the class, then it leads me to the last class I was just in. The V tab features my past activity. I can view the questions I've asked before, the questions I replied to, and the questions I've done before. The More tab has settings and information about the app. So let's say I'm in math class right now, and I want to view these questions. I just tap on that, and it leads me to a live feed of my classmates' questions. Here I can choose to upvote or downvote the question, or tap on the question to view its replies. So I'm curious about the first one. Professors and students can both reply to a question, and the professor's replies are marked with this icon to differentiate them. Now, let's say I have a question. I can go back, hit that right there, and simply type a question, hit BARQ, and it'll show up on the live feed.
Now, we understand that professors are busy people, and that's why we're allowing professors to implement BARQ in their own way. They can display the questions as a live feed in the classroom and answer on the spot, or they can take 10 minutes after lecture and answer it that way. Or they can use BARQ's reply function and answer questions in their spare time. Our competitive landscape currently composes of apps such as Canvas, Piazza, and Network. These apps all allow students to ask questions, but what really differentiates BARQ is that it is more effective and more efficient in the sense that there is a live feed so professors can answer immediately. In other words, it is specifically tailored to the fast-paced lifestyle of the current student.
So since BARQ is an education management system, we would like to negotiate contracts with schools willing to use our service across the nation. So this contract will come in two parts. First, there will be an implementation fee, and then there will be an annual subscription fee. So since it takes time, money, and effort to implement BARQ around a school's student database system, the implementation fee will be an upfront, one-time only fee that covers its cost. Then all the school has to do is continue paying an annual fee. And this fee will vary depending on the size of the school. So larger schools like UC Berkeley or UCLA, with lecture halls of up to 1,000 students, will have higher demand for our good and must pay a bit higher price.
Our plan for BARQ is pretty ambitious. We plan to implement it at Northwestern and then expand it to colleges around Illinois. After that, we envision BARQ going to schools around the country, and after that, we envision countries around the world using BARQ. Overall, we see BARQ as a universal educational tool.
So this was BARQ.
Got a question?
Just BARQ about it.
I'm curious how you prevent this from kind of devolving into a Yik Yak, which isn't just fun entertainment, has received a lot of flack because it turns into anonymous online bullying. How do you prevent students in a class from talking shit about their classmates or about the professor or posting inappropriate things?
One of the main ways was that we need students to have a student ID to log in the first place, so all questions can be traced back. And then another thing is we're obviously going to have a filtering system to prevent anything inappropriate from being said. And another thing we noticed on Yik Yak is that when anything inappropriate or anything offensive is said, it usually gets downvoted pretty quickly, and we also have a voting system for it as well.
So the filtering system happens on the back end and
Yeah, it's from the coding.
So you, okay.
Yes.
Mainly the filtering system is the upvote system. It is a self-moderating system because your peers vote your questions. So if it's not a proper or appropriate question, it will get downloaded and get deleted automatically.
And students probably won't be saying bad things if it's linked up to their student ID and professors can check.
So professors can see who asked the question?
If someone like made an inappropriate question and it's linked up to their student ID, then they can like trace it back to them.
But it shows up anonymous to your peers.
Yeah.
What about the fear of asking a question and appearing dumb to your professor?
Normally, it wouldn't show up to the professor, but in dire situations, the professor can trace it because it is linked to your account.
Okay.
But it wouldn't show up on their interface.
Yeah, that may be tricky to clarify down the road, but you know, that can be addressed. I'm curious a little bit about, a little more on the differentiation between Canvas and Piazza and some of the other tools that are out there.
So what we noticed was that you can type questions on Canvas, Piazza, and Moto, and then professors can respond to that. But we think the main problem is that the response time takes so long. And we know that current college students are very busy, they have so much to get done. And another thing that we noticed was that, like, you can say that a student can go to office hours, but like on larger campuses, office hours are inconvenient to go to, you can have a class time during it. So with BARQ, you literally send a question on the spot and it gets answered immediately. So it's very efficient, it's very effective.
Do professors have an interest in this real-time feedback during lecture?
Some professors would, and there's also some professors that won't want to view the question unless there's a certain number of people interested. So what we have is an option for professors to only have questions pop up if there's a certain number of upvotes.
Okay. Yeah, so one of my thoughts would be like, I would imagine that, I mean, it would be difficult, you know, onboarding wise to convince professors that it's kind of worth having their students, you know, I mean, part of the concern could be being distracted with electronic devices, part of the concern would be not paying attention to your lecture, part of the concern is that the very model in and of itself is meant to be lecture time, whereas the questions and things like that are meant to be asked afterwards or in office hours or other settings. So like, how are you going to, like, I mean, who are the more kind of forward-thinking professors that have already tried to do something like this and gotten some real-time feedback? Like, what's a simple way to do this without the app?